The restaurant shimmered beneath golden chandeliers, its air heavy with the quiet hum of privilege. Every table gleamed under silk-white linen, every seat filled with people who belonged to a world built on wealth and influence. And in the midst of that world sat a nervous young woman in a faded sweater, clutching her small purse like it was her only anchor. Her name was Laya, the maid's daughter. She had saved for weeks just to be here, a $4 blind date at a place where even a glass of water cost more. Her trembling fingers played with her phone as she checked the time, forcing a brave smile that barely hid her fear. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that restore faith in humanity, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support helps us share more stories that prove there's still good in this world. Laya had grown up watching her mother scrub floors and polish marble in the mansions of Crestwood Heights, homes filled with laughter that never belonged to them. Every day, she'd watch elegant women glide past wearing perfume that cost more than her mother's yearly wage. Yet her mother never complained. She would simply tell her, "Never be ashamed of where you come from. Be ashamed only if you stop trying." Those words had carried Laya through everything: the stares, the rejections, the endless cycle of struggle. So when a co-worker at the cafe where she worked offered to set her up on a blind date, she hesitated, but eventually said yes. For one night, she just wanted to feel normal, to laugh, to talk, to belong. She wore her best outfit, a black sweater borrowed from a friend, and a red tie her mother had ironed lovingly, whispering that she looked like a lady from the movies. But the moment Laya stepped into that glittering restaurant, she knew she didn't belong. Her date hadn't arrived yet, but she already felt the cold eyes around her, judging her thrifted clothes, her trembling hands, her cheap shoes. Waiters walked past with polite smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. Her heart sank with every passing minute. She sipped her water slowly, trying to make it last. In her purse sat exactly $4.27, her entire week's savings. At the next table sat Adrian Vale, the only son of one of the city's most powerful billionaires. He was used to masks, fake smiles, rehearsed charm, endless flattery that always led back to his father's fortune. But tonight, something else caught his attention: the girl sitting alone by the window, her nervous fingers twisting a napkin, her eyes, hopeful and afraid, watching the entrance for someone who wasn't coming. There was something real about her, painfully, beautifully real. Minutes turned to an hour. The lively hum of the restaurant softened into a quiet ache. When Laya finally realized her date wasn't coming, she tried to smile, but her eyes betrayed her. Tears threatened to spill. She couldn't cry here, not in front of these polished strangers. She reached for her purse and called for the bill, desperate to leave unnoticed, but someone had noticed. Adrian quietly signaled the waiter and paid her check. When Laya opened her purse, the waiter gave a gentle smile. "It's already taken care of, miss." Confused, she looked around until her eyes met Adrian's. He nodded, not with pity, but with simple kindness. A silent message: "I see you. You deserve better than this." Her cheeks flushed with shame and gratitude all at once. She mouthed a soft thank you and hurried out into the cold night, feeling humiliated but also strangely moved. She didn't know who that man was, and she certainly didn't expect to see him again, but Adrian couldn't stop thinking about her. Her loneliness had mirrored his own, a quiet kind of isolation that even wealth couldn't cure. The next morning, he made a few inquiries. It didn't take long to discover that the girl from the restaurant was the maid's daughter from one of his family's properties, the same estate where his mother's longtime employee, Rosa, worked tirelessly every day. That weekend, when Adrian visited the estate, he saw Laya again, sweeping the marble stairs beside her mother. Her head was down, her movements quick and quiet. He hesitated, then approached. He thanked Rosa for her years of service, then turned to Laya and said softly, "You have a good heart." "Don't hide it." Laya froze, unsure how to respond. The son of her mother's boss speaking kindly to her felt like a dream she didn't dare believe. Over the next few weeks, Adrian began visiting the cafe where she worked. He'd order coffee, nothing fancy, and sit quietly, watching her handle rude customers with calm patience. Eventually, they began to talk. Awkwardly at first, then with warmth. Laya learned that Adrian wasn't arrogant or spoiled, and Adrian learned that Laya's pride came not from ego, but from dignity. She told him, "I don't need pity, I need opportunity." And he listened. He helped her apply for a scholarship through his family's foundation, one rarely publicized. Laya hesitated, feeling unworthy, but Adrian insisted, "Talent deserves a chance, not just privilege." Months later, a letter arrived that changed everything. She'd been awarded a full scholarship to study business and management. When she told her mother, they both wept, tears of disbelief, relief, and pride. News spread quickly. Soon everyone in the Vale household knew about the maid's daughter who had impressed the billionaire's son. Some whispered that Adrian had lost his mind. But Adrian didn't care. He saw in Laya what the world had forgotten, a dignity money could never buy. Years later, Laya graduated top of her class. But she didn't stop there. She founded a nonprofit for underprivileged women, offering education and job training. She called it the Second Chance Project. Inspired by the quiet act of kindness that had once changed her life. At the launch ceremony, Adrian stood beside her, not as a billionaire's son, but as a proud friend who had believed in her when no one else did. Sometimes, kindness doesn't come wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes it's a quiet act, paying for a stranger's meal, offering a word of encouragement, giving someone the chance to stand tall again. Laya's story isn't about wealth or status. It's about what happens when compassion crosses the walls of class and pride. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread, where every click helps us spread hope and humanity. Speech balloon. Tell us in the comments, what's one act of kindness you'll never forget? Because sometimes one small act of kindness can change someone's entire world.